Come on, Nate. Just tell me why.
Whoa. I just got hit with a flood of memories.
Love you, Mom.
You seen what I'm seeing?
Mom?
Allison?
Yeah. It doesn't matter that they don't believe us.
We all believed that what happened that night was self-defense. But we couldn't be sure.
Nate, you and I checked out Tell Me Why. This is by DONTNOD Entertainment, and we're going to kick things off by starting to say that it's actually done over 3 episodes. We had the opportunity to play all 3 episodes, wrapped up the story, and wow, what an impact it had on us. But how it's going to work is actually it drops on day 1 with obviously episode 1, and then a week later you're going to get episode 2, and the week after that episode 3. I think this is a smart take with an episodic game instead of something that we're familiar with, like say the Walking Dead series where we had 1 episode and then we waited months down the line. So DONTNOD's taking a different approach, allowed us to play episode 1 and then have a conversation grow around that, and then they're going to launch episode 2. You and I had the opportunity to play all 3 episodes, wrapped up the story. Nate, I gotta be honest, man, I was blown away at Tell Me Why. What did you think of this one?
Man, just like you, absolutely blown away. The overall story of the game is beautifully portrayed.
Yeah.
Every character is just so well done. I can't honestly praise this game enough. Right off the get-go, with the music that they play, and it's just introducing the characters as they're getting ready. It feels very personable. And as you play more and more, you get just more invested in these characters. And wow, we're gonna talk about the story just very vaguely because we're gonna do a spoiler cast in a couple weeks. But that to say, wow, man.
No, absolutely. To kind of dance around the story, I guess you could say, it focuses on 2 characters, Allison and Tyler, but it focuses on the transgender community and the fact that Tyler was actually Ollie as a child and has made the transition. It's kind of mid-transition, you could say. But it also focuses around the fact that their family is torn apart and how that kind of explodes. And I guess, honestly, that's about as far as we're going to take this story.
Yeah.
This is one of those games you definitely need to experience. I think it is so tastefully told, Nate. Like, it is a beautiful story. It's an incredible story. I had moments where I was just... you make certain decisions, right? And a lot of these games are kind of that walking sim kind of genre, and in a sense it has that little bit of a taste to it. But when you get these decisions, I think there's a few moments where I put my controller down and stared at my screen because I really didn't know which decision I wanted to choose moving forward. Like, what was the consequences I was going to face and which way did I want to go? I wanted to kind of gauge my repercussions per se, and hopefully I was picking the right choice. There isn't a right or wrong choice with the game. But at the same time, man, there's a couple times I had to put the controller down to figure out what I really wanted to do moving forward with both these characters. They have this unique ability because they're twins, that they have this ability to talk to each other through their minds and relive memories. And that's a big mechanic of the game and a big puzzle within a lot of the mechanic of the storytelling as well. And I thought, man, it was so cool to see how they were able to portray this overarching story over chapter 1, which obviously leaves you on a cliffhanger, right? And then chapter 2 kind of wraps things up, and you get into chapter 3 and I was like, where they go now? And then I was like, wow, that's where they took this. Okay. And you were hooked, and then I just followed all the way through. Like, I couldn't put it down, I gotta be honest.
Yeah, man, me too. I'm right there with you. So, and a really cool thing with the decision making is that they're all usually memories. So you kind of get to pick and choose between which memory, you want to remember, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And like you said, man, I have sat there like 5 minutes, 10 minutes sometimes, and like, oh, what is the right moral decision? Or like, who is thinking the right way? And I've actually found that me and you picked opposite decisions,
which was cool.
Frequently, which, it is pretty cool. And even at the end of chapter 3, we picked a different decision, which was also really cool. So
yeah. I like how they give you
Anyway.
the stats too. They always give you the stats of who picked what and kind of the percentage, right? So I was kind of going down the list, and often I was picking the one with the smallest percentage overall. It was kind of unique to see. I like that.
Yeah, man. So, one thing we kind of got to talk about, there are just a couple issues with the game.
Yeah.
I guess one of them being that sometimes when you're in the middle of a conversation with someone, or when you look at an item and then you start talking about it, if you kind of walk away from it, sometimes it'll bring up the next conversation. And I've dealt with these issues in Fallout games and Skyrim. Like, this is just an issue in gaming overall with dialogue. So sometimes you just would miss some key information, and it would kind of just change the pace that you were just on, which is unfortunate. Now, It didn't happen all the time, so if you're kind of mindful of every time someone started talking, you just kind of
listen to the whole thing
and listen. Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. That's the whole game though, right? The whole game is basically focused on creating conversations and listening to those conversations. So if you move on too quickly, you're gonna miss out on some of that dialogue choice, and it's by accident. It's not on purpose, it's by accident, and it really kind of takes away from the actual story, Nate, because you suddenly just get cut off in the middle of that dialogue for the next piece of dialogue to kick in. And I wish there was some kind of wrap up that conversation and then allow it to move in, transition a little bit smoother. And that was kind of, you and I both focused on that problem a lot, unfortunately. And the other option too is when you do select items and you get the one piece of dialogue, that's all you get is one dialogue. When you're in those point and click adventure games, often when you click on an item, you'll get multiple dialogues. So you're not constantly hearing the same repeat line of dialogue over and over again. But
what's this? What's this?
That's all it was, right? I was like, man, that was a little disappointing. I would have liked to seen a couple choices and then wrap it up with, okay, now it's time to move on. Piece of dialogue in a sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And in the gameplay, like you said, most of it is kind of just walking around and clicking on things. But there are some puzzles and a couple parts where you have like this, I don't know, is it like a paper toss fight or something? I can't remember what you're throwing.
Oh, it was a doll.
But it's very corny and lighthearted. But again, they do kind of break up that somewhat monotonous just walking around and clicking on things. I think often enough a couple of those puzzles were actually quite challenging. I know you just broke the lock on a couple of them, so or broke down the door.
You have a couple options, some things. So it was cool to see that conversation of you and I afterwards of, what did you do here? Well, I did this. I didn't feel like doing that, so I did this instead. And that's what this game portrays, is the conversation. And it's obviously, if you can play this with friends, it's the best way to play this game. And how they portray Tyler and the choices he faces in life moving on, and with the whole transgender stereotype of a small town in Alaska, how he faces with that, and his overall growing up experience and the trials and tribulations that he's had to deal with. Like, I can only imagine what some of these people have to actually deal with when they're going through this stuff, and I don't portray to know by any means. So this kind of gives us an insight to some of these unfortunate events that people have to deal with, and it sucks that they have to deal with it. But I think DONTNOD took a tasteful approach into introducing people who might not be so familiar with this kind of topic, to be honest.
Yeah, man. I just felt like the conversations you had with some of the townsfolk, it just felt so authentic.
Yeah.
And just like things I've like almost heard, not from me personally, but just from other people and stuff. It's just, it was just incredible, man. I think it was a really bold step by DONTNOD and a really great step.
I think it's paid off, Nate, to be honest. I think this is one that'll have people talking for years, right? This is going to be one of those games that puts DONTNOD once again on the map, and saying, hey, you know what, they took a chance, and I think they took a chance with something well done too, and it's made its way, I think, to a great platform that people are going to appreciate and enjoy this game. It's got one heck of a twist and turn all the time, and it kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Oh yeah.
And the story is just so well written. I think that's the biggest take from this. It's so well done. You just want to know what happens next, and it keeps you coming back for the extra little bit of information you can gather and keep going for the story. It's so cool, man.
Yeah, man. right, Drew, so you're going to have to tell me why you're going to give this such a high score, because I know that you're going to, and I know that I'm giving this one a 9.5, because this game is damn well near perfect. A couple little minor, issues with the dialogue, and sometimes when you're walking around, some of the movements weren't perfect. Sure. But I mean, that's the only thing I think that really knocks this game from being a 10 out of 10. This story is an absolutely must play. This experience is unlike anything I've ever seen in a game, man. What did you think?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Nate. This is a one-of-a-lifetime experience, I think, from DONTNOD. I think what they've crafted here is something that's outstanding. It's beautiful. I think so well written, the way it's portrayed throughout the 3 episodes, and how they introduce characters and conflict, and how it's kind of tastefully managed all at the same time. You can't fault it for some of the minor things, because it's so overseen by how well the story develops and is told, and explains the problems and conflicts within the family and within the community. It's so well done. Everybody must play this game. I'm there with a 9.5.
Nice.
It doesn't matter that they kept us apart.
Brother, sister, we look out for each other.
It doesn't matter.
This is DONTNOD's best work yet. An incredible story that is magically written with one surprising twist and turn after another had us enthralled from the beginning to the end. There were just a few minor glitches here along the way.
And the only way to move forward
Mom?
is to keep looking back.
We've been getting these visions whenever we see or hear something really emotional. Everything we thought we knew about Marianne just got thrown out the window. She loved you.
She attacked you.
We both saw it.